Protect your energy first, though, right? And if you're scared or you've got a serious issue, don't try it.
So here we are. We've gathered here today because that's how it starts. We've gathered here today on a little bit of a, how do I call it, comment. It was a comment that you replied on. No, you actually reached out to me, didn't you? On a post that I made in this group,
Yeah.
and I know nothing about you, which I love. I love that part because I love to discover people's stories as we go along anyway. So I love to hear it straight from you and firsthand because I don't know, the experience just feels more natural at that point.
Yeah.
So if you would like to introduce yourself a little bit and we can go from there.
Okay. So I'm Sam Ritchie and I live in Spain, although originally I'm from the UK, as you can probably
Mhm.
hear. But I've lived in Spain for 17 years now with my husband
Oh, wow.
and my now grown up daughters.
Mhm.
I'm an angel guide and I specialize in space clearing remotely. So, do you know what
Oh,
space
wow.
clearing is?
I have an inkling, but you're gonna go into all of it to be honest. But
Okay.
let's start from there because you said you're an angel guide, right?
Yeah.
So now I would love it if you could share how did you discover this about yourself? If you can share a
Yeah.
little bit about your backstory, let's say, like when you were little, or
Yeah.
how did you come across this superpower, let's say?
Okay. So, as a child, I was always different and I was always seeing things that other people couldn't see. In fact, I was more in a different realm than in this one. People terrified me. If the doorbell rang,
Oh,
I'd
wow.
hide. At school, I would visibly shake if I had to walk across the room, so much so that the teachers would call my mum in on a regular basis. So I was
Mhm.
always different, but I thought everyone could see the things that I could see. And it wasn't until I was about 20 and someone said, you know what, you probably shouldn't tell everyone you can see this stuff because not
Oh,
everyone
wow.
can. And so I sort of shut it off. That time I was working as an estate agent. And when I would be able to sell properties that other people couldn't sell just by being there. And if there was any spirits present, then I would move them to the light just naturally. And this carried on. I then left a state agency, had two kids, and we moved to a new house. And I knew there was no spirits there, but it was a really heavy, dark feeling about that house. And I happened to mention to someone I knew, and she said, "Oh, you want to space clear your house?" I'm like, space clearing? What's that? So she told me how to do it. And I set about just very rudimentary clapping and incense. That was it. And I got
Mhm.
all of this information about the property, all of this history. And so I excitingly told my friend, she went, you know, that doesn't normally happen. And I'm like, doesn't it? I just assumed everyone would get all this. And
Uh-huh.
so I didn't think anything else of it. I then space cleared all the properties we lived in. If someone mentioned they had a problem with a strange smell or things moving, then I'd go around and space clear their properties. And that was it for years. And then in 2020, we got locked down, and I was working in kitchens as a chef then. And so
Mhm.
obviously I couldn't go to work because everything was shut. So I took the opportunity to study with Kyle Gray and become a certificated angel guide, which is reading oracle cards primarily. And so I did about 500 readings for free. And then people started wanting to give me money. I was like, "Oh,
Wow.
okay, perhaps I could pay, feed my family with this." So I set up a
Yes.
website and I put space clearing on the website, thinking Yeah, no, it's a very limited market. I live in rural Spain. Someone's either got to have a, a really bad problem, or they've got to be spiritually minded. So I didn't think anything else of it. And then a friend of mine said, Sam, I need your help. I've space cleared their holiday home in Spain. I need your help, but the property's in England. It's my grandparents' property. It's got tenants in it. And the tenants won't give me access to get essential maintenance done on this house. Can you
Mm-hmm.
space clear from a plan and an address? And I
Mm-hmm.
said, honestly, I have no clue whether I can or not, but I'll give it a go. So I set about redrawing the plans that she gave me, and I started getting information through immediately, like including her grandparents' names. I was like, okay, I can do this then. And then, but that wasn't the best bit. The best bit was within 24 hours. It wasn't even 24 hours. She came back to me and said, the tenants have allowed me access. The building work's going ahead. Thank you so much. I was like,
Wow.
this opens up a whole new world. It opens up the whole world. So
Yeah.
now that is the main focus of my business.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So are you a remote viewer as well?
well, I guess I am because that's what I basically do, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess I am. With space clearing, how I see it is properties hold memories, just like people
Yeah.
do, or like a piece
Yeah.
of clay, and it's the biggest the biggest hand or the biggest energetic imprint creates an effect on the clay or the property. So
Mm-hmm.
if you think of it, there's been times in your life where you've walked into somewhere for no reason, felt really uncomfortable. It could be the most beautiful place in the world, but you just don't feel comfortable there. And likewise,
Mm-hmm.
you can go into somewhere and just feel at home. And that's us picking up the energy. And what space clearing does is get rid of the negative energy and enhance the positive.
Wow. I mean, it's interesting hearing you say about walking into a different building and feeling the energy of it, because I feel consciously or subconsciously, all of us can tap into that. But I have a specific memory right now of when I moved into one of the previous homes that I lived in, beginning of last year. Sometimes, no, actually, it was June. What am I saying? Mid June last year. And I remember walking into this property and meeting the lady, because I stayed with the landlady, and I thought, oh my god, I love her. She looks a bit like my grandmother. She's very jolly, she's very funny. And then, but then, just walking through the house, I kept having this weird sensation that something's off, and I couldn't put my finger on what exactly it was, because everything looked great, on
Yeah,
paper. Her house was from the 1600s, I think, so it was a very old property. And then I know, because I'm the same, I know everything holds memory, and I could
yeah.
tell that something was not right there. And then, now, not long after I moved in, I figured what it was. And I'm thinking in my head, I put it as, because I moved in the house, there was another person that lived there, and they moved out after about 2 weeks of me being there. And I keep thinking whether just my energy, in general, just pushed them out. I like to believe that that my
I
light is so
totally,
bright that it pushed out somebody else a bit.
I totally believe that you can do that. That just by
Yeah.
you being present will make other people leave. And also, when I was an estate agent, I would literally not do anything apart from walk
Mm,
in, and I had no clue I was doing it. It's only now they go, okay, so that's why I was able to sell the properties that no one else could, because just by me
yeah.
walking into the property was having, to some degree, clearing the energy.
Yeah. Yeah. So what does that look like for you now? How do you can you walk us through process, let's say, of a session of, let's say I reach out to you
Yeah.
and I'm inquiring about if you could clear a property for me like your friend did. What is the process that you actually walk through?
Okay, so all my client needs to do, if it's in person, obviously that's a bit different, and I'll tell you about that in a second. If someone
Yeah.
is a long way away from me, so we do like you in the UK and I'm in Spain, then I would say to you to draw me a very basic plan. And what I mean by
Mm-hmm.
that is literally the shape of your building. So most houses are square-ish. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the squareness of the house or the shape of the house, and then where all the rooms are, and do that for every floor. Okay. I've had people do
Yeah.
it on napkins while they're in the tube, you know. It's it doesn't have to be good. It just has to be
Yeah.
something.
Base.
Um
Yeah.
yeah, really, really basic, right? If someone's trying to sell a property, the estate agent's already done it for them. So then they just send me what
Mm-hmm.
the estate agent's details, and that's really simple for them. And then I ask what the issue is. Now, sometimes people just, I want to know if you pick up the history that I've been told about this house, right? That could
Mm-hmm.
be it. Sometimes it's
Just,
properties not selling.
yeah.
Sometimes difficulty sleeping. Sometimes it's things moving. Sometimes strange noises. It can be any number of reasons why someone would contact me. I
Mm-hmm.
ask them that. Then I do a prayer. I call in the angels. I ask them to show me what I need to know about the property. So I might not get anything. That doesn't happen often. But I might not get anything. But the result will be the same. Then I
Wow.
tune in and I draw the plan out. And then I clap above it and I do my whole ritual above the plan. And I end by asking the angels, calling in the angels to cut any emotional cords that are holding the property back. I call in Archangel Metatron to use his sacred geometry and magenta light to clear the energy of the space. Depending on what the issue is, I might call on Lord Ganesh. If it's a property that's not selling, I normally call on Lord Ganesh to remove the obstacles. And I ask for any entities, spirits to be moved to the light, and the property, is healthy, happy, and abundant, as well as whatever other issue, for the greatest good of all, always.
Mm-hmm.
Always for the greatest good of all. So if I work with a number of estate agents and some of the clients, some of the properties, the owners don't know that I'm doing this, but because it's for the greatest good of all, it doesn't matter. So I'm working big for the positive, so it's all good. So I don't need
Yeah.
the permission. If I do it in
Yeah.
person, and I suggest that anyone listening to this does this, protect your energy first, though, right? And if you're scared or you've got a serious issue, don't try it. But if you're
Right.
confident in yourself and you've got spiritual protection, if you've got your own spiritual protection routine, do that. If not, on my website, there's a free meditation that will help you put yourself in a spiritual bubble. And that's totally
Mm-hmm.
free. And so, but do that first. Then, and everyone should try this because they will hear it. What I do is I set up an altar, but you don't have to do this, which is my candles, an joss stick, crystals, palo santo, sage, bells, and a singing bowl. So I set that up when I go anywhere to do a space clearing job.
Mm-hmm.
But the first thing I do is clap, like literally clap around the walls. But everyone should try this because you can hear the change in energy,
Wow.
right? So you will be able to hear, by doing it yourself, you will be able to hear that you are affecting the energy, which is so cool, right? And everyone can do this. Anyone could do this, right? But protect your energy first. So then clap. Then I use Palo Santo and sage, and that's when I get the most information through. Then I
Mm-hmm.
go around with bells, and then I finish off with a singing bowl that just calms the energy right down. And again, I
Mm-hmm.
start with a prayer and I finish with a prayer. But anyone can do this. However, if you're worried, don't do it. If it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I'm not sure I'm safe, don't do it. If you're worried at all, you're going to attract stuff to be worried about.
Yeah. Yeah. Get it.
But I
I mean,
believe anyone could do this.
the way you were describing it, to be honest, it's interesting because I at a certain point, God, was it 2023? I lived in Florida and I was very close to my friend, and we started doing this. We wanted to clear energy in people's places, whether it was their homes or flats or uh, work environments. And we did that. We did near enough what you described, probably except the singing bowl and the clapping. But same with Palo Santo and Sage, and walking around and literally following our guidance and intuition
Yeah.
of where we should go and what to do. The only difference at this point I feel is like, because you said you're calling in the angels. I'm really curious, what does that feel like for you? Or what does it, or do you actually get like hearing? Is it like a clairaudient thing? Is it like a clear visual, or is it like a feeling? What does that look like for you?
Okay, so I always call in the angels. So sometimes, but they're always here with me anyway. But if I've got a particularly tricky space clearing, I can literally see them. And how they show up for me is like the cutouts of angels you used to make out of paper at Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a paper chain of angels, but really, really bright light is how they show up to
Wow.
me when I'm doing that work. The
Yeah.
messages I get, they can be visual, they can just be sensual, or it can just be a sense, or it can be they tell me something. And it's all of them,
Mhm.
and yeah, all of them in different times and spaces. So it can be anything. They can show up
Yeah.
however they feel is best. And sometimes I get no information, but as I said, that's not very usual. Normally I get quite
Mhm.
a lot. But the results are the same. The results are
Yeah.
the same.
Do you ever happen to walk past buildings or past people, let's say, and you just get different information just by walking past?
Yeah, I have done. I'm much more now that this is my career as well. I'm more on the spiritual journey now than I was before.
Yeah.
Before I started
Yes.
doing this, I would get loads of information just by walking into somewhere. Like cathedrals and churches were
Biggest.
sometimes quite difficult. Um,
Yeah. Wow.
Now I know how to protect my energy and go, I don't need to see all this all of the time. It's much easier, it's much better. So yeah, if the imprint is strong and the angels and guides want me to do something, then they show me stuff. But obviously I can't
Hmm.
go around space clearing random buildings, I'd get arrested.
Do you find that the more you, because I know so many people, the more they embrace their gifts, the flowier their life becomes. Do you feel like that's what's happened with you as well? Because from what you described, you were born with it. Like you were born with being able to tap into energies and seeing angels and hearing them and connecting with them. Do you feel
Yeah.
like, has there been a point in your life where you were not sure what to do with it, or maybe people around you telling you, like you said, when you were in your 20s, somebody said that no, not everybody does this and sees this. Did that feel difficult to you at all to,
Yeah,
or is it,
childhood was difficult because I didn't understand. what was going
Mm-hmm.
on, and I didn't understand that not everyone could see this, because both my parents, it turns out, I didn't know my dad was psychic till after my mum died, but they both
Wow.
were. Um,
Wow.
and so it was accepted but not talked about in my house.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, my mum was so scared of it. We had a lady spirit who lived in our house when I was a child, and my mum would not go to bed without the landing light on
Wow.
because she was scared. But this lady
Mm-hmm.
used to sit on the end of my bed every night, and she never worried me, unless I didn't give her enough attention. Then she'd move stuff. But uh,
Oh
so
my God.
so what? When someone told me not everyone saw it, it was a big shock. And I'd already
Okay.
made the decision that I was not going to be scared by stuff. Because as a small child, I was literally terrified by the world. And
Mm-hmm.
I must have been about 12 when I went, you know what, this is not how I'm going to spend my life. And I turned it around to like, okay, I'm just going to start doing stuff. Just going to not be scared. I'm just going to do it, which is an ongoing
Mm-hmm.
battle. But, you know, I'm pretty much there now. Not much
Yeah.
phases me
Yeah.
now. um, and then I shut down quite a lot for a long time. I was always looking for something else and not quite feeling like I fitted in and not quite knowing where I should be and what I should be doing. So, yeah, I spent a lot of years not embracing my own spirituality, not embracing my gifts. And yeah, it caused a lot of issues in my life. A lot of things didn't go right. And also, I was clearly meant to be space clearing. We lived in so many properties, it's unbelievable. And it was like, if you're not going to be doing space clearing, then we're going to keep putting you in another house that needs space clearing. So now I can do it from a plan. I don't have to move house again. You know?
Bonus.
It
That's
is.
so
I
funny.
like my house. So yeah, it definitely, when you own who you really are, life goes better. And if people don't
Mm-hmm.
understand that, if they don't understand me, that's fine. You know, I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and nor are you, and that's fine. We don't want to be.
Yeah. I love that. So this kind of brings me to, I know you said you are about to release a book
Mm.
on the 12th. Is it 12th of March, if I remember well?
Yeah,
Can you
Wednesday.
can you tell us a little bit about it and how that came about? What
Yeah.
did you write in it? And yeah.
Okay, so it's called Echoes Within Walls. And it is about the things that I have seen and experienced while space clearing, primarily. It also gives you an outline of how you can space clear for yourself. It dives into
Yeah.
other energy things, a little bit about feng shui, a little bit about ley lines, not in depth, because that's not the primary point of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's really exciting to be able to share some of these amazing characters and the history of some of these buildings that I've had the privilege of space clearing. I've space cleared a hotel, a palace, industrial plants, residential homes, offices. And so it's really a mixture, and some land as well, with really interesting stuff that you're like, whoa. Some of it, if I hadn't have experienced it, I would not believe it. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm at the point where I have to trust all the information that's coming through. For example, I was space clearing a piece of land on one of the small Spanish islands. And I could see this American caravans, you know, like in the Westerns, the American Westerns, with the
Yeah.
horse-drawn carts. I was like, this makes no sense. Why would this was a piece of land, so there was no buildings on it, and it was for sale, and it was just stuck. But I was like, why am I seeing this? It makes no sense. Surely there wasn't American caravans going across this tiny island. And I went, okay, that's what you're giving me. And I said to my client, he went, oh, yeah, that happened. So you just, but the book's full of things like you logically, it makes no sense. And then
Yeah.
when you tell the client, they go, oh, yeah, that did happen.
Oh wow. Wow. So there's
It,
information that's coming through that you might not make sense of, but other people might, or
yeah,
somewhere else in general
yeah. I
in the
did another
ethers.
one. Did another one, again, a property that was struggling to sell. And I said about a fire in the second bedroom. And he went, well, I don't know about fire. Then the
Hmm.
property sold, and in the survey, it came up about the fire
Oh wow.
because there was marks in the loft from the fire,
Hmm.
but the owner knew nothing
Hmm.
about it. So it's like, okay,
So
I have to trust that whatever's coming through, if it doesn't make sense to me, it might not make sense to the client, but that is true.
yeah, yeah. So how did you decide to write this book, by the way?
So, okay, so there's a story. So when my when my mum died, she had said that she was writing a book. So it never crossed my mind to write a book. And so when my mum died, I was like, okay, I'll find the book and I'll finish it for her. When I
Hmm.
found the book, it was less than a paragraph she'd written. It's like, well, can't finish that, can I? Yeah, where do I even go? That doesn't even give me anything. Right?
Yeah,
So, but it got me thinking about writing. And
yeah.
then, so I've written a couple of manuscripts which may or may not ever see the light of day. And I started blogging.
Mm. Yeah.
And uh, then just so the stuff that was coming up was amazing. So I started blogging
Mm.
about the space clearing. And
Hmm.
then I met a lady last year who'd had her book published. She'd won a competition with Local Legend, who's my publisher. And I met her and she was talking about it, and that's fine. And then she put that they were opening this competition up. So if anyone had a manuscript, get it in. So I contacted them and I sent the first draft, which is a long way from where the book is ended. They've been absolutely amazing. I didn't win the competition, but it was like, I really want to publish your book. So it all
Wow.
went bang, 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 bang. And then they're like, we need
Hmm.
to know more about this. We need to know more about that. We need to know less about this. And so together, it really has been a collaboration. They've really held my hand to get the
Hmm.
book out there.
Wow. I mean, this is what I've noticed from my experience or other people's experience the experiences in general, that when the path is unfolding, everything falls into place just like that, just
Yeah,
like you described. So that's pretty awesome.
yeah,
That's pretty awesome how that comes about.
yeah. So I'm
Has there?
really, really excited.
I am excited too. I'm really curious. Can we? Is it gonna be just in a printed format, or is it gonna be somewhere on like an audiobook, or what's the other one?
It's
Kindle?
going to Kindle. Yeah, it's available worldwide through any bookshop, and it's
Wow.
on every digital platform.
Wow, that's impressive. So you're really taking over the world basically with it.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
My
That's pretty
my
awesome.
my plan is to get rid of negative energy from the world, one property at a time.
Mm. That's so cool. I love your slogan. That's such a cool slogan. I love it. Oh God, I've got another question that it's been on my mind since we started this. Has there ever been any? I don't know, experience, encounter maybe that really freaked you out, that scared the bejesus out of you in any way? Have you ever had
Mm,
anything, whether clearing or just any other kind of information coming
Um,
through?
no, I've had some pretty freaky information come through, and I have
Mm,
had some experiences, but they didn't scare me. But again, it's because I could see the angels around me, so I knew I was safe.
mhm,
But one property I was doing in person, and it was particularly horrific history of this house. And
mm.
when I was space clearing one area, my face just changed. I could feel my face being pulled down, and my client went, "Oh my God, your face has changed." And that's the only time. But I wasn't scared because I knew that the angels were around me, and they obviously were allowing this to occur so that my
Mm,
client knew what was going on, right?
mhm.
Because later she also said, it's like you've got lights coming out of your eyes. So
Wow.
I was like, okay,
Wow.
cool. We'll go with that. But that was a very difficult property to clear,
Mm,
because of there was two not very nice spirits hanging around, and the energy imprints were not good either. In fact, the woman, which I couldn't even imagine this as being a side effect, she'd been struggling to lose weight since she lived in the house, and she'd been
mhm.
there 2 years. After me space clearing, she lost weight without changing her diet. Literally, the
Wow.
energy of the house was weighing her down.
Wow. Do you know what?
That's only
Whenever you share
happened
this thing,
once. I could not guarantee that you'd lose weight if I space clear your house, by the way. That's only happened once.
you know what? To me, it rings some truth in there because I've noticed the things that you've shared so far. Many times I'm just getting goosebumps over goosebumps, and I'm like, oh my God. And I know for me in particular, when I'm getting goosebumps throughout my body, I know I resonate with it as truth. So I totally believe that's a possibility, to be
Yeah.
honest. And also, you're mentioning light coming out of your eyes and stuff like that. I've noticed at a certain point, as you were talking, your room lit up a bit more. So I don't know whether somebody just in or something's happened, but I could see that it just became a bit lighter. And I don't know whether somebody just put a light on or, or somebody
No,
else stepped in or
my husband's locked away at the other end of the house. There's only me in this part of the house. My
cool. So
dogs
maybe you're
can't my
not, see.
dogs can't my dogs can't reach the light switches.
So it must be just your team backing you up, just coming and filling up the room. I
Yeah.
guess you feel their presence constantly, or is there are there times when you feel their presence more intense than others? And also, because you were talking about clearing, and as you were describing the other experience, I was gonna ask whether there have been places, whether homes or areas, that you had to go twice to clear, or took a bit longer to clear because the energy might have been too dense or too intense, or
Yeah. I'm a Virgo, so I like things to be very much done properly. I like things done properly.
yes.
So if, for example, a property hasn't sold within a time frame that I think it should have done, because there's no
Mm,
other reason, because there is other reasons why a property won't sell. It could be overpriced, it could be a whole number of reasons. But if none of
mhm,
those are in place and it's an energetic reason, if it doesn't sell in the time that I think it should, then I revisit. If I don't get
mhm,
the result that I'm looking for, then we revisit. Um,
mhm,
I have one again on a Spanish island, different from the other one, and it's same client but different island. Um, and he had this land with a house on it. And when I did that one, I came across a portal to the demonic energy. Now, I didn't believe, before this point, I was like, demons don't exist. It's just humans that are on the wrong track, right? Now I know different. Now I know different. as I space cleared this property, it was literally like I don't know how to describe it, just a hole in the floor where all of this energy, negative energy, evil energy, demonic energy, was coming up and having a
Wow.
huge effect on the property. At that point, no
Mhm.
one was living there. I'm not surprised. Um, but it was changing, and my client confirmed that the people that had lived there before, he hadn't lived there, had personality changes, not for the better, suffered from
Wow.
depression, suffered from greed, suffered from all sorts of not nice stuff just because of the
Mhm.
energy there, and became
Mhm.
not nice people when essentially they were good people before. So that property took me a long time. I had to keep leaving my office and going back. And I psychically put a metal lid on the vortex so that they couldn't get out again. But
Wow.
because it was so intense, and because this energy had been going on in this area, in this one place, for hundreds of years, I have revisited that property a number of times.
Mhm.
And when
Mhm.
I looked into, because I got given the information of people going missing in the 20s, when I Googled it, Google came up with nothing. But what Google did say was this particular island has got a history of black magic. In fact, some of their
Mm.
fiestas still are based in the history of black magic, which I didn't know.
Wow.
I've been to this island and I didn't know that. So it's like,
Mhm.
okay. So that was probably, those two are the two that I wasn't freaked out, but they were definitely more difficult than the most. I now believe in demons, which I'm not sure I like, but I do believe now.
It's an interesting conversation and topic because I f- I don't know what to believe when it comes to that too, but I also believe if there's one part that is light, there's got to be somewhere the other side where it balances out, right? So
Yeah,
if there's a
yeah,
very intense, because as you were describing the things that you were sharing, I kept thinking maybe there's a bigger reason why you're in Spain. Because
yeah,
there's so much darkness around there. You come in with a light,
yeah,
and I haven't forgotten about the other part of the question that I started, which was if you sense your team in spirit around you all the time.
yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. And to more or
Hmm.
less degrees, but yeah, there's at least one with me constantly.
Hmm.
But then I believe that,
Hmm.
to be fair, I believe that we all have a guardian angel who's been with
Yeah.
us since time. How I like to, okay, how I like to imagine it is that we're sat on a cloud, and then we've got a guardian angel. We're sat on a cloud, and one of us goes, okay, I'm gonna go down to earth, and the other one goes, yeah, I'm gonna be your guardian angel. And so we
Mm.
come down to earth, and every lifetime that angel has been with us,
Mm.
and so
Hmm.
they never leave us, even in
Hmm.
our darkest moments when we think we are alone. They are always with us.
Interesting. Because I don't know how I feel about. I know I'm never alone. That's one of the
Yeah,
things that I know for sure. I don't know exactly what and who, and it's so funny because I know a lot of people try to connect with their spirit guides, let's say, or angels or archangels or anything like that. And I also have practiced meditations in the past. I don't know if you've heard of Steve Noble, and
yeah,
I really enjoy his meditations because he starts with calling in angels and archangels and team and spirit, and as soon as he says that, I feel the room filling up with whatever it fills up with.
yeah.
So yeah, I totally believe there's something out there. I just feel like for me in particular, I'm probably not as in tune all the time. I feel like that's what it is. Probably not just paying attention as much all the time.
As far as I'm concerned, you don't need to know who they are.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
know they are. You don't need to
Mm-hmm.
know who they are, just know they're on your side.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I I do work with guys, but I couldn't tell you which one's giving me what information when. I couldn't tell you whether that's an angel or one of my guides, or just
Mm-hmm.
someone who's randomly dropped in. Most of the time, I couldn't tell you exactly who's giving me the information,
Yeah. Yeah. I've
but
got
then I
another
don't
question
need
that's
to.
from I guess you just follow your guidance as well, or your
Yeah.
intuition, or how it feels. Because I'm imagining there's got to be a way in which you can tell whether it's something that you follow through with or not. I'm sure your own inner intuition has something to do with it all. With every information that you get, whether you uh, follow through with what information you're getting or not. Has there ever been anything that you were like, I'm not so sure about this one, by the way? Or you always trust whatever comes through?
Yeah, no, right at the beginning, I was like, really? And still sometimes I was like, really? And especially the name John. Uh, I seem
Mm.
to come across a lot of Johns. And it's like, really another John? And they're like, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. How could it be another one? Blimey. You know, have I got a hotline to Johns? Right? Um,
Sounds like it.
so, so yeah, there's still times when I go, really? And they just go, yes. But trust is something you have to build up. And when you do what I do and you go, okay, this makes no sense. And sometimes I've said to clients, this makes no sense to me at all. And they go, oh, no, that's totally
Yeah.
right. You know,
Yeah.
that builds your trust.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That builds your trust when someone outside is going, oh, no, that happened, even though it seems really random and really weird to you on a
Yeah.
from a logical viewpoint, doesn't mean
Yeah.
it's not right. So yeah, that
Yeah.
trust is what you need to grow to the
Mm-hmm.
point where you go, okay, however bizarre that may sound, I'm trusting that's right.
Yeah. You mentioned at the beginning something about doing a course in oracle reading.
Yeah.
What what
Yes.
what do you mean? What do you mean by oracle reading? Do you mean like cards, like deck of
Oracle
cards,
card
or other?
readings. Yeah. So yeah, my
You
cards are
still
here
do
now.
those?
Oh yeah.
You-
I love my cards. I won't hold them all up because I've got lots. Yeah, no, I still do readings a lot, and I also hold space for 2 in-person spiritual circles, which is not
Wow.
mediumship development circles. These are more basic. It's for anyone. I actually have a working medium in my group, but I've also got people that have never meditated before they started coming. They're just stepping onto the spiritual group and their
Mm.
spiritual path.
Yeah.
And we do a topic of the week every week. Then we do a meditation that I channel on that topic, and then I read an oracle card. So even if I haven't got bookings because I'm busy with other stuff for oracle cards, then I still am reading cards twice a week for other people. Um, I also do a free online party on my Facebook page every 2 weeks where I pull a
Mm-hmm.
card for anyone who's put their name down. It's getting to the point though that I'm going to have to cap it because I did 18 last time and that was quite a lot.
Oh, wow.
uh, and I pull a card
I
for myself
imagine.
every day.
Mm, I imagine when you got like you said, 18 people. That's probably a lot of energy, a lot of mix of every angle you can think of anything possible
Yeah,
coming at you.
yeah.
I
But
can
it's,
imagine. Yeah.
I really enjoy it. It's really good fun. I do
Hmm.
enjoy doing
So
it.
then, for the fun of it, would you like to pull a card for me?
Yeah,
Because
let's
because
go.
I cannot do that. I cannot not ask. I have got to. Unless,
Okay,
of
let's.
course, you don't have to do it. I'm
I've
asking
got
for
them
the fun
here.
of it, but
It's fine. Let's do it. It's fun. Okay. What's this Phoenix? Wait. Ooh, lovely. Oh, so you go. Oh, where's the camera there? Wishing well. Okay, so
ooh,
this is about being really careful for you. The message,
yeah,
this is how I see it. Be really careful
yeah,
what you're wishing for, right?
yes,
Make
yeah,
sure that it's really positive because the wishing
yes,
well is making it happen. So
yeah,
you be in charge of it. Make sure that
yeah,
it's positive. So you
hmm,
have a tendency to be hard on yourself and to be quite negative towards yourself. This is
yep,
saying, knock that off, make it positive because you're fab, and everything that you're wishing for will come to fruition, right? But
yeah,
you want to make it good because while you're in this space of manifesting, you don't want anything nasty. So really
for sure.
check your thoughts, right? And
Yeah,
if
yeah,
they're creeping, because you know, negative thoughts
we're
do.
human.
None of us, we're human, yeah. None of us are immune to them. But if you say clear, cancel, delete, right, after you thought it, go, oh crap, I've done it again. Clear, cancel, delete. Right? Then you're getting your head back into that positive space and do the things that make you feel positive. If you're having a down day, go out for a walk, look around, look how beautiful the flowers are,
Mm.
just really, and also that'll help you stay grounded, which is another thing you got a bit of an issue in.
Are you just reading through? Are you reading through me? Are you just seeing through my deep dark soul right now? I mean, you
Your
couldn't have
soul
been
is
more.
not deep, dark. Your soul is not deep, or well, it is deep, but it's not dark.
I know, I know. It's just a silly joke, I guess. Even that I shouldn't joke about. I know
No,
you've
clear,
been
cancel,
extremely.
delete.
Yeah, and it's interesting you're saying about the clear, cancel, delete, because this is how my spiritual journey started in my 20s, which was with Silva method mind control.
Oh
You
yeah,
might have heard about it,
I have.
and that's one of the techniques that they use in there. If you have any kind of thoughts that you don't really want to bring into existence, to erase it, delete it, cancel it. And that's kind of stuck with me since. I don't do it as often though, but now you're like bringing it back to my awareness. And even the fact that the wishing well, I mean, yeah, yes, and I know I have a tendency to go towards the negative, and I think it's just because of the stories that I've been telling myself, and I'm just reinforcing the old stories. So thank you very much for that, for
You're
the reminder.
welcome. And
To,
you know what?
to
As we said earlier, there is light and dark, and that is for all of us as well. And it's just
yeah,
getting to terms with, okay, that happened in the past. It doesn't have
mm-hmm,
to be my story now. It doesn't have to be
mm-hmm,
that way from now on. It doesn't have to be my future. So, what do I
yeah,
want my future to look at? Taking the lessons from the stuff that wasn't so good that's happened. Where can I take the lessons but leave the pain?
mm-hmm.
So that I'm taking the wisdom and not the emotion.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. I'm like, turn it into wisdom, and then you said wisdom. That's so good. Oh, wow, wow. So now I'm thinking we've spoken about your book. I've poked at you whichever way I could think of. What is next for you? Do you have any short-term plans, long-term plans, or you're just going with the flow of life?
Okay, yes and yes. So I have a vision board, and on my vision board, I did that with Colette Baron Reed, and I have a magic zone. So that's just what the universe, what spirit wants to give me. So I'm interested to see what that is. So at the
Yeah.
moment, it's full on book and working on my business, obviously, and what's going to come up from that. However, I have been told I'm writing another book. This time, you are the first to hear about it, apart from my husband. But this time it's going to be a fictional story,
Okay.
but based on based on one of the some of the characters that I've met along the way in my space clearing. But it is going to be fictional, because if I do it as a non-fiction, I can't say what I want, because scientists and medical professionals and things like that would disagree.
Yeah.
Whereas if I do
Yeah.
it as a fiction book, it's a story.
Nobody cares.
So,
Right?
so
Yeah.
yeah, but I'm only at the planning stage, but I've just got to sit down and write it.
Yeah.
So when I
That's
have
exciting.
time.
Yes. So what else do you fill up your time with when you're not doing clearing, when you're not doing readings, when you're not holding groups and things like that? What else do you do with your spare time?
In spare time, yeah, loads of that. I also hold retreats.
You have it.
I also hold retreats. I help a friend out in the kitchen of a hotel nearby as well. What else do I do? I like to watch films, because that just switches me off. And so because the rest of the time I'm getting information when I'm working, and actually sometimes when I'm not working, I still get loads of information or things that I should be doing, or could be doing, I should say, clear counsel could be doing. So when I'm watching a film, that all switches off. So I do like to watch film. I love to read as well.
Yeah.
But then if I've got my head in a book, then I get really grumpy if I have to stop to do something else. So I only tend to read non-fiction books. If I read a fiction book, it's when I know I've got time to finish it, because otherwise I get grumpy.
Makes sense. I've had a completely left field kind of question pop in my head, because you were mentioning the ways in which you disconnect and things like that, and I'm thinking, do you get really strange dream worlds? So when you're asleep, do you have like really out of this world dreams, or messages coming through dreams, or anything like that?
When I wake, I don't often remember my dreams, but when I wake up in the morning, I either stay in bed or I get up and have a cup of tea, but with nothing, with no sound. I don't even like to talk to anyone, because I have so much going on in my head that I just need to process it and then get it all straight. So although I don't remember my dreams, when I wake up, it's like 300 miles an hour. And then I journal, which just then the journaling just gets me really grounded and gets it all out. So
Yeah. Oh, we got a visitor. I can see the doggy at the back.
which one? Oh, that's Canilla.
Hello,
And the
Camilla.
cat on the chair. And the cat on the chair.
Oh my God, has he been there all this time?
Yeah.
So
It's
cool.
raining outside, so they're not going anywhere.
It's interesting. Raining in Spain. You don't hear that too often. Spain
It's
is normally so nice.
been raining for the last week.
Go on.
It's been raining
Oh,
for the
wow.
last week. So
Yeah, interesting. I don't know if I've got any other questions for you. Is there anything else that you feel like you would like to share, to be honest? Is there anything else on your mind, on your heart, that you feel called to sharing right now?
just that there is quite a lot of free meditations on my website, and that's samangelguide.com, and they're under blogs, but they're there for anyone to use when they want to. So.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to put all your details in the show notes and people can just click on them. Click on the link,
Yeah,
go there, find out, discover.
cool.
Well, that's it from me, to be honest. I'm very grateful for you to accept my invitation to reach out in the first place, to be on my podcast and for us to get the chat. I really enjoy chatting with you and getting to know you and the tiny bit of amount of your life, because as much as you can know a person, in about an hour,
Yeah.
just a little bit, just to get to know them. And thank you very much for sharing so openly.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been fun.
Thank you. Yes. Well, have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you too. And make sure you keep your thoughts positive.
I will. That's my homework now. Yep.
Yeah.
Wishing well. Look at my forehead. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.